Hello, and welcome to episode 1030 of The Sleeper and the Buzz. It is Tuesday, March 22nd. I'm your host, Paul Sporer, joined this morning by Justin Mason. Justin, good morning, sir.
48 hours until Vegas.
Can't wait, man. I am so excited. We've got so much to do before then, but I just cannot wait. We got the biggest news ever yesterday. We got league assignments, and we're in the same league, and it's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And, I don't know, maybe Greg did us a little favor behind the scenes. I'm not here to call out anything because it certainly has not been brought to my attention if so. But if he did, I think it's all random. It's all random because Scott Genstead got moved through like every league. So there's some sort of computer automation. But the fact that we ended up in the same league is insane. Then you throw in Jeff Zimmerman and it's a Rotographs, just shenanigans all over the place. Dalton Del Don, Scott Genstead, the wheel of Genstead landed in our league. He eventually wound up in our league, but literally there's like 25 people who said, oh, he was in our league for a minute. He was in our league for a minute, but he ends up in our league. That's not it. The hits just keep coming. Dustin McComas is a friend of mine from Austin.
And in the industry too, right?
Yeah. I mean, but like seeing him, the first thing I think of is he's a trivia friend. He's on the big competitive team that actually sort of disbanded, the team that would give us probably the biggest hassle more often than not. But yeah, he works over at 5Tool on Twitter. He used to work over big time Longhorns guy, covered them at Orange Bloods forever. And any Longhorns fan knows what that is. So he's in it. Then we got Emmett. Ruland is a name that I've heard a bunch before. I'm
very good player.
Familiar with him, but I know he's a beast. Dave Potts, who doesn't know Dave Potts?
Yeah.
Dave Smith, very good player. Michael freaking Govia. You want to talk about the entertainment value in this
draft? Our draft is going to be the one to watch. Like
that's what I am saying.
If you were going to be in Vegas for this weekend on Saturday morning, when these drafts occur, that is, of the 7 drafts that are going on, I think ours is easily the one to watch. You, me, Govier, Genstead, Zimmerman, and I mean Zimmerman's pairing with Tanner Bell.
Yep.
Dalton Del Don. Like this is going to be Dustin. It's going to be a fun table to just
I can't wait.
Be around.
And I don't want to give short shrift. I don't know these people, and I'll meet them on Saturday. But Mike Duggan, Herb Ero, and Ryan Radzitsky working together. Ray Diaz, I mentioned Emmett, and Ralph Ehrman. So it's a group. You got the 3rd pick. I got 15. Did you go straight butter, or did you change it last second?
With your KDS? I changed it last second. I would have had the number.
KDS is when you just you sort your 1 to 15 however you want, and then that is also automated, and you get what you get. But you can pick where your spot is depending how early you come out. So straight butter would be just leaving it 1 to 15. Just want to explain that before you got into what you did.
Yeah, which is what I usually do. I felt like in the main event the pitching goes so fast. I knew Dalton was going to be our league. Dalton is notorious for taking like 6 or 7 straight pitchers. And I was like, I'm just going to put myself 3rd first if I can and go. I did 3, 2, 1, and then I moved up some of the back ones just in case the pitching goes really fast. I can grab one, hopefully before that, 1-2 turn if I were to land the 1 pick. And I got my first choice. I was the 2nd person pulled out of the hat to choose, and one had already gone to Scott Genstead, and so I got 3, and then Dalton Del Don got 2. So
he's going to take Garrett Cole in front of you.
Yeah, so I've been kind of teasing him on Twitter with gifs of like Jedi mind tricks and stuff like that to try to get him to take Nick Pivetta first. I don't know that it'll work. Dalton's a pretty damn good player. I've played with him for a number of years now in the Barf League. So, and Scott I've played with before in TGFBI. So it's nice for me. I'm sure you probably feel this way too. I know a lot of these people.
This is awesome.
I've played with over half of the league before. So it hopefully that'll work to my advantage, and I will crush you all because that is what I'm planning to do.
Doubtful. I'm picking it at the wheel, baby. I got 15. I did move that up a little bit there. I went 1, 3, 2, 4, 5, 9. Can you guess why I put 9 up high?
Because you want to pick 69.
Correct. I'm such an idiot. And then I went 6, 7, 8, 15, 14, 10, 11, 12, 13. Guys, I won a league, so any dipshit can win a league. And even if they move 9 up specifically so they have pick 69. Now, I didn't get it, unfortunately. That honor is going to go to Jason Gill, and he better treat it well. But yeah, so dude, I can't wait. Saturday's going to be amazing. The whole Vegas trip's going to be awesome. But the fact that our league is so stacked with just fun people that we know and should just be a blast. I can't wait. I look for like Twitter videos and things like that too during breaks and whatnot. I could definitely see Govia getting his phone out, but there's also a lot of other people in the league that might. But we got a lot to talk about because we're doing starting pitchers. If you didn't see my tweet, I didn't record the reliever episode yet. I was going to. I had all my plans. I got my work done. I got my shortstops posted. And then the world changed here in Texas. There was a rash of tornadoes across the state that were going crazy. The closest one got to us was 13 miles away. So Jen and I were like storm chasing, like we're tracking everything. And then it led like right into the Beat Paul Sporer League. So I will record the relievers today, release it tomorrow on Wednesday if you're listening to this live on Tuesday. But we got starting pitchers to talk about, and you know it's going to be a long time. So we need to dive right in, and we're going to do the same thing we did with the outfielders. A lot of the upper tier guys, instead of diving in and be like, what do you think of Garrett Cole? Like, that's kind of worthless. I try to get a little bit more of a pointed question, and we kind of stick and move with those. So let's just start. Was the Garrett Cole sticky stuff situation overblown, Justin?
I think so. I mean, he obviously affected him early on, but he was still great. And he's just one of the most reliable aces out there without any injury concerns or any more injury concerns than any other pitcher has.
Yeah, no extra.
I mean, obviously every pitcher has concerns, but not. I see the argument for his, Corbin Burns over him. I haven't been able to push him below Corbin Burns. Cole's number one, I think, right now.
I think so too, and I'm not even sure it's really a competition. And I love Burns, but no, I think you just take Cole. I think you're trying to complicate things a little bit too much if you don't take Cole.
Yeah.
Is Shohei Ohtani underutilized as a pitcher? He was SP 30 last year. Now, I know he was hitter 6, but is there ever a scenario where his pitching is useful? Can you ever envision yourself drafting such an offensive stalwart of a team that you'd actually want to use him as a pitcher?
No. I mean, he's just so good offensively.
Yeah.
I draft him as a hitter and with the hopes that I'm going to be ahead enough in hitting categories later on that maybe I can use him as a pitcher at times. Or if there's just a really good matchup. The problem is Angels run a 6-man rotation. They will skip starts randomly just to kind of take the pressure off of him. And so if you're playing in a weekly format league, that's brutal to take a 0.
True. That's
true. I think it's more of just a catch-up thing if you're behind in pitching later on.
And I think really it would have been a better case to make last year when the price was different, because paying first round pick for an SP 30 is not really the best idea. So I get it. I just wanted to point out that he was still SP 30 along with being hitter number 6. What an
obviously in a best ball or in a daily moves lineup, he is the number 1 overall player.
By far. Like if you can use him as both and his daily moves and you don't pick him number 1, you made the wrong pick. I'm sorry. Yeah. There is no two ways around it. Any workload concerns on Corbin Burns? 167 last year was a career high, made 28 starts, basically a full season. I give him credit for that, but it's the first one in the majors. Any workload concerns with him being kind of that SP number 2, number 3, depending on people's rankings, because we haven't seen him do like an even 180 or higher. Any worries there?
Maybe a little, just because the Brewers really try to optimize their pitching staff and not push him. But I mean, whatever you do get from him is just going to be amazing. I think on a per inning basis, he's probably better than Cole. And the reason you don't have him in front of Cole is because you're a little worried about what the innings totals are going to be. You can pretty much pencil in 200 for Cole, and you can't do that for Burns. That being said, like I said, I just think he is the best pitcher in the league, not named Jacob deGrom.
You think Cole is?
Corbin Burns, I think.
You think Burns is? Okay.
Yeah.
But you're taking so Cole is your number 1 strictly due to the volume piece.
Yeah.
Got it.
I mean, he's elite too, but
Yeah.
if you could promise me 200 innings from Corbin Burns, I would.
wish.
I'd be taking Corbin Burns first.
Yeah, I think if there was a way to guarantee that, that would change the calculus a bit, and that is kind of the question with Burns, but obviously not such a big question that people are letting him go late at all. He is a very high pick. Which men are you trusting this year? Max Scherzer at the elevated age, but still amazing, or Jacob deGrom with the lingering injury concern, but obviously God tier on a on a per inning basis. When he's pitching, he's the best in the game. So who are you trusting as far as Scherzer and deGrom? And neither is a valid answer if you're really not taking either. But I'm curious where you're at with the two Mets.
I mean, it's Scherzer. I don't know that I'm going to get him at any point rest of the way. I've gotten him a few times already. I've gotten DeGrom a couple times
already. Okay.
Yeah, but the injuries concerns on DeGrom are super, super scary. I assume he will go in the first or second round in our main, which means I probably won't even have an opportunity to get him. That's okay. Someone else takes that upside, but also the downside. I'm playing a little safer that early.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm at too. I really love DeGrom. He's amazing, and I know he could really change your fate if he ends up staying healthy and you get him, late first or even middle first, because he can be the 1-1 type. But I trust Max a bit more too. I got DeGrom high still. I actually have DeGrom above Scherzer. Maybe I need to change that. I'm really torn. I've ended up passing both so far this year pretty consistently. And I don't hate either. I just have decided, I'll go elsewhere. Plus, I have Buehler as my number 2. So a lot of times when it comes down to Scherzer or DeGrom, Buehler's still there, and I end up taking him because I really, really like Walker Buehler. Is there any real difference between Burns and Brandon Woodruff?
I think Burns is just a little bit more electric. I think Woodruff is a little bit safer. And I think he probably will get more innings.
If you mix the volume, then don't they end up kind of being the same?
They do. That's why I have Woodruff third.
Yeah.
So I'm totally fine getting Woodruff as my ace. It won't happen in the main event because he won't be there. No. He may not even be there for you.
Correct.
At the end.
There's a legitimate chance that he's not even there for me.
My guess is 4 to 5 starting pitchers go in the first round. So that's that's the problem with being at the wheel right there for you.
Oh yeah, no doubt. It's gonna be really interesting. I forget who I was talking to that also got 15, and I was talking about how much it diverges after pick 6 at this point.
Brock Miller.
And I was like, we could have vastly different players available to us at 15.
Yep.
Just completely different set of players. It starts to diverge that quickly. And then in the mains, people are they're going to get their guy. Does Walker Buehler's ERA/ERA indicators split bother you? He's kind of maintained it over his career. It's kind of the pushback I've been seeing on him. I just mentioned to you that I have him number 2. So my answer is clearly no, does not bother me. But what about you? Where do you come up with Walker Buehler working so far ahead of his Sierras and FIPS over his career with his ERA?
I mean, it doesn't bother me that much. I mean, maybe a little, but I mean, enough to where he's not like a top 5 pitcher for me. But I mean, he's still a top 10 guy. I think he's pretty reliable. I think the Dodgers are going to rely on him quite a bit. When you've got guys like Andrew Heaney and Clayton Kershaw in your rotation, you need a horse. And I think Buehler's a horse. And so I've kind of gone back and forth between Buehler and Urias as who should be the number 1 Dodgers pitcher. But I think Buehler is a fine choice. And I think people who are going, oh, the skill slip. Like the slip to what? He was still amazing.
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit of just splitting hairs because it's hard to figure out which ace you want to start your team with.
And I get that, right? When we start nitpicking at the top there, but sometimes the nitpicks don't really hold up and you're just prefer somebody else. That's fine. But the anti-case you're trying to make isn't really there. Are you buying Shane Bieber to stay healthy? He's given the all clear right now that he's at 100%. You're already nodding your head no. So give me your thoughts. Where are you ranking him? Obviously, you're not drafting him based on how strident you just were there. I see you have him 25th. So that's a full no, 100% out.
That's why I'm out. He seemed to be struggling with the sticky stuff before the injury, and like now, I know people are like, oh, he's healthy now. Do we know that? And do I want to pay that that price on that red flag? I don't. Like and there's just so much that can go wrong with a guy of his profile, man. He relies so much on the command and control. And I just don't. He might be great, but it's not going to be on my team. I just don't trust it. If you feel that like icky about a player, you shouldn't be drafting him no matter what the price. So
we were talking about this during my. Sorry, go ahead.
He's just off my board.
Yeah, we were talking about this during my Paul Sporer, like at the top of the draft, especially like if you don't get the warm and fuzzies about a player, don't just take them to take them.
Mm-hmm.
Take the guys you like. Sometimes it isn't really like I was talking about this in the context of starting Marte. I don't really like. I understand kind of the anti case, but I'm not really in on the anti case. I'm just not in on the pro case either. So I just end up never drafting it. You are a bit more anti on Bieber, but if you don't feel good about somebody, don't just take them because ADP value is there. That is the wrong reason to take anybody ever. I will say that for sure. So yeah, I get it. I haven't taken him anywhere either, and I don't know that I'm going to. But again, he was given the all clear at 100% for Shane Bieber. We'll see how it is. Is Julio Urias underrated? They took off the kid gloves last year with him and Bueller. Is he ready to stay at this ace level after last year's breakthrough?
Yeah, I think he is. I think this is I think Julio Urias is going to be the number one pitcher on the Dodgers, which would make him probably a top 5 to 7 starter this season. So you got that offense behind you. He's going to win a lot of games.
He won 20 last year,
Mm-hmm. And I think they're going to just continue to let him go further and further. I mean, they're probably still going to be careful with him, but not as careful as they've been with him in previous seasons. I think they're just going to let him run. And I'm super, super stoked. I'm totally fine if he ends up as my SP1.
Me too. And that's why I like Urias and Bueller's, because there's no more real kid gloves with them. They can't really afford it. They have to let them pitch. They don't have the overwhelming depth at starting pitcher. Their offense is amazing. The Dodgers are amazing, but they don't have like 9 SP worthy guys that we're talking about like they have had in some previous years. They need their workhorses to be workhorses, and that's Bueller and Urias at this point. So we'll see how that goes. I agree with you that Urias as my ace would be fine. Are you moving Zach Wheeler down off the shoulder news? And it's really just news of some soreness and some caution, but it did create an ADP dip. Did it create a rankings dip for you?
It did. I mean, I had him as my number 3, and I've dropped him all the way down to 11. So there's definitely a little bit of concern for me. Because I think he doesn't have the elite strikeout rates that other guys have. So like he relies on that volume. So if he's going to miss time, he goes down more considerably than maybe a guy like, I don't want to say Chris Sale. Chris Sale's going to be out longer, but a guy who's going to miss maybe his first, time through the rotation. So I think he's going to be okay. I mean, I think we had this kind of situation with him in 2020 where he had to miss his first go through the rotation because of some sort of issue, and people freaked out, and that's why he dropped a ton, and then just went out and just crushed everybody's hopes and dreams, including mine. So I'm not taking him off my board, but I definitely moved him down.
Yeah, with Wheeler, I think a move down makes some sense. I mean, he was really great last year. The strikeout rate really did pop off at 29%, 213 innings. The volume has been what he's been known for, though. He's had some injury issues, but we're pretty far past them. It was 15 and 16 that he missed, and then part of 17. But then 18 and 19 were full seasons. 20 was full relative to what it was, but he's pitched as a workhorse 3 of the last 4 years. But that makes you reliable, but also unreliable, if it makes sense, right? Because then those innings are piling up. So it's like you have to battle test to prove that you can do it, but then you become a risk. And now I'm like, can you do it again? It's their weird cutoff there that Wheeler's in now, especially with his shoulder soreness, because people are almost using his volume against him now, saying, well, this is the problem with pitching all those innings. It's like, well, you got to go some way. And I hope he's okay, though, because he's been real fun to watch as a beast. Who do you prefer between Aaron Nola and Lucas Giolito? Nola trying to bounce back off the ugly support that he got last year. So his ERA and his metrics and his ERA indicators had a big split to the negative. Or Lucas Giolito, who, is just kind of consistently being a solid SP1 in fantasy these last few years. Who do you like more between Nola and Giolito?
I like Giolito just a little bit more. I may move Nola down a spot or two too still, so I'm still kind of debating that to do my last update for the week tomorrow or tonight. But I think Giolito is just an absolute stud. You take that Boston game off of his docket where he had
the morning game
at 8:00 in the morning, which apparently he doesn't like to do because he's not a morning person. And his stats look a hell of a lot better. So he gave up, I think, 8 runs or something like that.
It was absolutely brutal.
Yeah, it was in an inning or whatever it was. But I think he's kind of one of the underrated aces. I think he's still an ace. Like, people were taking him as high as 8th overall in the main events last year, and now you can get him in the late second, early thirds. So
he didn't do
definitely
anything
guys who's in play for me in the main.
Yeah, he didn't do anything that you should necessarily be afraid of last year. Lucas Giolito put up another 179 innings. He's been in that 170s the last 3 full seasons. 28% strikeout rate, 3.53 ERA, 110 WHIP. I actually took a deeper look at Giolito and I moved him up a bit. Actually, I posted the wrong thing on the Patreon page here, but yeah, I had to move him up. You're going to see it here in just a moment. I'm still lower than you, but I realized that I was definitely too low on Giolito. So I do like him. I like Nola. I like either though. So I wanted to make you pick because I don't know that I have a stark preference there. I kind of just take whoever's available. I would be fine with either.
The beauty of Nola is, like, even in his quote unquote down seasons, he's never been bad.
Yeah,
like
even
he's
last
never
year.
completely fallen apart. He's never been bad. He's always been good, or he's been great.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the kind of starting pitcher I like to start my staff off with, is a guy who his floor is good.
Yeah, because even last year, the 4.63 ERA did hurt you, but you got 181 innings with a 30% strikeout rate and a 113 WHIP. It's not like he gave you nothing. There were still reasons to continue starting Nola. He just gave you a different complexion.
Just super unlucky.
Yeah, I mean, it was brutal. Like, he had a 326 Sierra, 337 FIP.
How much do you worry about Philadelphia pitchers with that defense? Sucks. It's worse.
Yeah, and it is a concern because, I mean, Nola shows you what can happen. And so it could happen to Wheeler. It could happen to Kyle Gibson. It could happen to Suarez. Any of them could feel the pain. The relievers could feel the pain. There is some concern there. And I think about it when I'm looking at Wheeler and Nola, and I'm like, well, do I want to take this one here? I've been pretty comfortable with both of their prices. Wheeler's obviously has changed recently, but Nola's price, there's not a huge discount, and nobody is surprised by his underlying numbers. I'm open to taking him though, but I think if you prefer Giolito specifically because of the team defense, I could totally buy that. Just because it's better.
That's the only reason I'm really thinking about moving Nola down a little bit.
I think that's fair.
The defense is so bad behind him.
And we saw what it can do last year when it really ravaged him. Is Sandy Alcantara the next big thing? Are you on the hype train?
Yeah, I think I am. Not completely, though. Not in the same way that other people are. I don't feel as comfortable with him as my SP1. And if I do take him, it's because I'm probably double tapping pitching right there.
Okay.
I'd prefer, if he's my SP1, that my SP2 be really, really good. Be SP1 caliber. So he's going to give you a lot of innings. The question is, can he keep the gains we saw late in the season last year? I think he can. The Marlins have been a pretty good organization in terms of developing pitching. And so I'm willing to bet on it, but I'm just going to hedge my bet by, like, pairing him with a Lynn or a Peralta or someone like that.
I think that's fair. I actually took him as my number 1 in the 12 yesterday, the beat Paul Sporer. Snell was the backup, though. I went Snell, Eduardo, Ian Anderson, Urquidy. That was the backup behind him with Gallegos and Rogers. It's a pitching that I kind of focused on hitting, and I'll work the pitching in
Sounds
season.
Like it.
Yeah, because
it's a 12 though, so you can.
That's a 12. That's what I'm saying, and that's why I think I can leverage the pool to my advantage. But I'm totally in on Alcantara as a next big thing. I'm paying the big premium. The only concerns I've heard are strikeouts and the wind support. The wind support, I really don't have an answer for. Obviously, Miami might be pretty mediocre again this year. But the strikeouts, I mean, Alcantara literally has everything we look for in a budding ace. The swing strike rates are there. He hasn't been walking guys the last few years. He took a big step in strikeouts in the second half last year. It's all there. He's 26. He's gone 200 innings basically twice, 197 one time. I'm fully in. I think he's a beast. I'm paying the premium. What does Robbie Ray do for a follow-up?
This is so tough. I was fading Robbie Ray, and then he signed in Seattle. I'm like, oh my god, this is a good park. And a really good team too. I don't know, man. I'm Robbie Ray is the guy like I'm the most torn on. The skills were fantastic, but he still gave up a ton of home runs.
Yeah.
Will a new organization turn him back into the old Robbie Ray, which is what we don't want to see.
No.
I've just been fading it.
Me too.
And I totally understand people who are buying in on the hype, but I feel like last year is the ceiling, which was amazing. Don't get me wrong.
Yes,
but I'm so afraid that he crashed. Like when I say like Aaron Nola, like his ceiling is still really good. Robbie Ray, his floor is really, really good. Robbie Ray's floor is not really, really good. It's a lot of strikeouts and destroying your ratios.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the scary part there is that he goes back to that where he's just, volatile as can be, loses the walk rate gains. And then what do you got? I've been fading it too. I'm nervous. If I lose and he just picks up right where he left off, I'll actually be fine with that. I want him to be good. It's fun to watch good Robbie Ray, but I can't get there on just believing it. Yep. So I haven't, and I have been passing him. Do you trust Freddie Peralta as a fantasy ace?
I do. This is a guy that I faded last year. I'm no longer fading. He's I
didn't really have him last year either, by the way.
I had him in some early drafts when he was going like outside the top one,
but then he was like
whoosh. And then he just went up, and I just like I can't pay for this until because you're paying for the ceiling. Well, you got the ceiling last year, and I think there's still more. I think he can break through that ceiling, especially if the Brewers let him go in innings. I think the biggest concern is what the Brewers are going to let him do in terms of innings. So even if he doesn't, I think this is why you pair him with a workhorse. You pair him with a guy you feel really comfortable that is going to get 200 or close to 200 innings. So, I'd love to pair him with a guy like Walker Buehler, with a guy like Lance Lynn, with a guy, Jose Berrios, maybe guys who are going a little bit later, but still offer like a potential of like a ton of innings to kind of cover the fact that maybe Peralta's max is like 160, 165.
You know what I think gets a little wrongly put out there for Peralta? Maybe I'm just hearing it in a couple circles and it's not as prevalent, but this notion that he kind of gets boiled down to a 2-pitch pitcher.
He's like no longer that.
He was a 4-pitch guy last year. 4 pitches at 10% plus. If it's 10%, it's a pitch that you can go to. And the changeup was at 9.7. We round that up to 10, and the curveball was at 11%, along with 26% from the slider, 53% from the fastball. That's 4 pitches, and the platoons have never been a problem. And last year they were particularly amazing, where righties and lefties were snuffed out with sub 600 OPSs. So yeah, I'm in on Peralta too. I'd love to see.
The curveball was really, really good too. Like it wasn't just like hey, I've got this. You have to somewhat think about it. It was a pitch that he really could lean on when he needed to. I'd like to see him lean on it more, honestly. Yeah. I think he should get rid of the change, or at least dial back the change a little bit and just really rely on that curveball a little bit more, bump that up to 15 to 20%. And I think he has the potential to finish as the number one pitcher in baseball if everything broke his way. There's not a lot of guys that you could say that about necessarily.
Yeah, because the swing and miss for Peralta is just obscene. We were watching Nick Pollock was reviewing his spring training start in his Twitch stream, and you saw like he's so nasty that he was getting away with like pretty shit command. Like he was missing pretty badly, but the pitches were still so nasty that it was generating outs. And so
Yeah,
it's
he's
like,
got this motion that really just throws hitters off and
that's the
hides the
thing.
ball well. And
He's like throwing his body at him, basically.
So, I do wonder, like in dynasty leagues and stuff like that, like how well that body holds up over
Yep.
time. But
Because he's a slight frame.
yeah, but for 2022, I need to move him up is one of the things I need to do.
Get Freddie Peralta moved up. What does Kevin Gausman look like back in the AL East? Now, it is a modified Rogers Center with the humidor. It plays a lot more neutral, but the rest of the division is still pretty beastly. What do you think? Because I've been nervous, so I've been laying off of Kevin Gausman. What do you think he does back in the AL East?
I think he's gonna be fine. But I haven't been drafting him a lot, so like I think he's gonna be okay. But I think he's it's still a tough division. It's a fine ballpark. The only problem is the turf. Like, how much of that means more ground balls get through the infield than before. I think it's a downgrade in defense, not a bad one or anything, but it is. Well, I guess with Chapman there now too, probably is not anymore.
Yeah.
So that helps. Something makes me feel a little uneasy. I do not think he's going to fall off the map. I think he's a totally fine SP2. But he's just want to have him in taking the shot on.
Yeah, me neither. And I love Gausman. I have over the years been waiting for him to break out. He finally did, got out of.
Our first argument was over who loved Kevin Gausman more when he was in Baltimore.
I actually have another memorable debate where I was on the anti-Kevin Gausman side, but it was really more the pro Julio Teheran. Chris Liss and I used to argue over those two guys. And, he won, I guess, because Gausman became a stud. But at the time with Atlanta, Teheran was definitely out.
Teheran looked like he was.
I was winning at the time, but if it's a long range unlimited bet, Chris, you got that one because Gausman became a G. But I always would say too, I was like, I don't even hate Gausman. I just think he and Teheran are the same type of deal. He would always say, I'd rather live in Teheran than draft Teheran. I'm like, well, okay,
that's funny.
Then go live over there because you should be drafting him, but not anymore. Don't get Julio Teheran anymore. Do Max Fried and Logan Webb, or you can say take the next step toward acehood in 2022? Who do you like better there? Or do you like
I think Logan Webb does, as long as he's healthy. I think the only concern I have with Logan Webb is health.
It's a bigger concern than
people are giving coming in,
right?
Yep. Yeah. He dealt with a shoulder issue in 2021. It's why I think he missed May. But after that, he was amazing. And a workhorse. And there's strikeout upside that I don't know that Fried has necessarily. So plus I just trust the Giants organization. I absolutely trust the Giants organization.
I really do too. Yeah.
The more and more I read about the things that they're doing behind the scenes, the more and more I just, and obviously it's my team, so I think some people are going to be homers, but I think I mentioned this the other day. Like, was talking about talking to some of the people in the organization about like how they help prevent injuries, and it's the reason why Crawford was able to stay healthier and have a better season, and they're starting pitchers. Like they are looking at every possible data set at every pitch, every at bat, to figure out when to get guys days off, when to pull guys out of games. So maybe he's not like a guy who goes like 7, innings very frequently, but I think Logan Webb is for sure, if health considering, is an ace, and I think he should be a top 15 pitcher this year.
Yeah, I'm huge, really, on both, to be quite honest. These are two guys that are very much in my wheelhouse of desirable SP1s. I got them 10 and 11, Webb, Fried, respectively, and I think they can both just be monsters. I do think there is more of that strikeout upside available to Max Fried as well. Not necessarily more than Webb, but I do think he's got some strikeout upside with some of the stuff that he's shown. And even if he just, kind of gets it to 25, 26%, nothing doesn't have to be crazy for Max Fried, because I think he's ready to take the next step volume wise too. A couple injuries slowed him down last year. They were not arm related. I think Fried has a great shot. Obviously he has to stay healthy, but I think he has a great shot to get to the 180 plus. And Webb, man, I'm so in. I understand he missed. It was June actually that he missed all of with that issue last year. But then when he came back, he was untouchable pretty much the rest of the season. 2.63 ERA and 99 in the third after he came back. So I love both. I've been taking both, and I'll continue to do so. And maybe I'll get one of them this weekend. Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, Free just gives up too much contact. I think he's great. I think he's an SP2 for sure. I don't know that he has that another level yet. He's like 87% zone contact, which is above league average, which is not what you want from your starting pitcher in terms of like getting strikeouts. So I think he's going to be a really, really good pitcher. I think he really needs to volume his way to those strikeouts, and I don't know if he's going to do that this year.
We'll see. I think he's got a next step. I'm in on Max Fried as an absolute beast. Is there more injury risk to Lance Lynn than we think? And I bring that up because he's seen as the prototypical workhorse because his frame certainly looks like that. But he really only has the 200 inning season in the last, 3 full seasons. The other 2 were under 160 in 2018 and 2021. Obviously he led the league in innings in 2020, but it was the 2-month season. Like, what are we talking about? And he missed some time last year due to health. So I wonder, is there a little bit more concern than meets the eye with Lance Lynn?
I don't know. I think he's pretty appropriately downgraded. I mean, I think if we could guarantee that he was going to go 180 to 200, I think we'd be taking him as a top 10 starting pitcher. And we're not. So
no, he is down to the 27th pitcher. I don't know what that is among SPs because it includes the RPs.
But I can tell you in the ADP that I have that's on our sheet, I don't remember the last time I updated.
Oh yeah, he was 21st.
I think it was a week ago. He was 21st.
Okay.
He is a top 20 pitcher for sure. The question is how far into that top 20. I've gotten him quite a bit. I have no problems drafting him, especially because I've gotten him as like my SP2 or 3 plenty of times. So I love Lance Lynn. If this is the year it all falls apart, it's the year. But I like him too. Yeah.
I like him too. I just wanted to make sure that we're being appropriate with, but you're right. He did get moved down a good bit. I think he was starting earlier, closer to that top 10 in like October, November drafts, but he has since been moved down. So maybe that's been just properly priced. Are you buying the Dylan Cease hype train? Is he
not as much as other people? Like, I like Dylan Cease a lot. I was I was one of the people on the bandwagon last year. I don't want to say I was leading the bandwagon, but he was a guy who I think I had as like in my bold predictions as like a top 35 starter. And so like I nailed that, but there are some people who think Dylan Cease is going to turn into like Jacob deGrom or something. And they are just pushing this hype train past the station where I got off to do my victory lap. Like I got off to do my victory lap and the train kept going. And I'm like, well, no, I still think he's good. Stop. This is where we were trying to get to, guys. I'm sure there is another level with him, but there's also like a huge downside, and
doesn't have great command.
He does not. And so when that kind of evaporates at times, you could have some really ugly outings. So I'm probably not going to get him where he's going because there's always going to be someone in a league who likes him a hell of a lot more than I do, even though I like him.
Especially like at the main, because so I'm looking at just 6 drafts from Draft Champions here, a really tight window of 313 to 322 for the ADP that I'm referencing here. And Dylan Cease was 75th overall, the 29th pitcher, a min 64, a max 86. What do you think his main min is going to be? What's the lowest he goes, or the highest? The earliest he goes.
The earliest he goes
in a main.
Someone will take him in the early 3rd round.
So that would be in the 30s.
Yeah,
I agree. I was going to say in the 30s. I thought I was going to trump you.
My guess is
I totally agree.
Somewhere above 40. So it's going to be 30 something. Yeah. So somewhere
it has
before
to be like one of the first
3rd round. Somebody's going to.
I totally agree.
It's not going to be me.
It's not going to be me, but I don't hate it either. If that's your guy, if that's your breakout guy, if that's your Sandy Alcantara, go fucking get him. Like I'm totally chill with that. He just doesn't happen to be my horse or Nick Pollock's horse. In fact, Nick Pollock would send him to the glue factory if it was his choice. He hates Dylan
Jesus.
He would cease to exist. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. The crusty stud that you trust more. I know who this is, but Justin Verlander or Charlie Morton?
Charlie Morton.
You still have Verlander ranked very low.
I do. I'm going to move Verlander up, but not as a up near. He's another guy. Someone will take him inside of the top 40 picks.
Now that one might be me.
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding.
Well, it can't be you unless you're going to take him on the turn.
Well, yeah, and not in the top 40. You're right. You're right.
So
I'm not taking him on the turn, but I would take him with my
take him in the turn. Show how much you love him.
Shut up.
Do it in my draft, please.
No.
Yeah, someone's going to take him. Someone's going to take him by the time it gets you, or it will be you that takes him in the third, fourth, because that's the only time you're going to get an opportunity to. So
I'm okay doing that, by the way.
I'm not. I'm not even close to that. Good luck. I want Justin Verlander to be good because I think the league is better when he is good. But it's not going to be on my team.
I don't shade anybody that's going to fade him, by the way. I really don't. The reason I like him, normally people probably say, like, aren't you out on TJ returners? Generally, yes. When they get the extended 18-month recovery, 16, 17-month recovery, I'm more in. When they're a unicorn Hall of Famer, that also helps. I get that there's big risk, but I think he's just not been bad at a level where I'm like, where the risk is performance to me. It could be because he's 38 and shit can just happen, right? You can just be done, but I'm willing to take that gamble. I don't know if it'll be in the main. We'll see. A lot of big talk right now. We'll see what happens.
Isn't this your last draft?
I mean, it pretty much is. Yeah, I might do one more, but listen, hey, I got my player shares pulled up. Let's see. I got him in some drafts, man. I'm good if I don't get him.
I do not have him anywhere.
I've got my money where my mouth is, but it might not be where my $1,700.
What are you doing with Charlie Morton, though? Because I think Morton's a guy that's interesting.
I don't take him.
I don't either. Him. Coming off that leg injury, and I know people are like, well, it's not an arm injury. Yeah, you still have to land on that leg.
Yeah, legs are scary too.
Like that's, we saw this with Soroka. Not to say like he's going to like not pitch this year. He's obviously going to pitch. Yeah. He's also like super old, just like Justin Verlander, and he's got a plethora of injuries throughout his career.
Yep.
I love the skills, but I just don't know that I can do it.
It's the hot potato I don't want to be holding.
There's always someone who like takes him as their SP2, and I'm like, I want him as an SP3, not an SP2.
I think that's fair too on Morton. I do respect him, and I get anybody that's bypassing Verlander for the exact same reasons. It totally makes sense. I just, I got a strong bias for Verlander. It is a bias, absolutely. Is there another level to Jose Berrios? He's going to have his first full season with Toronto. He kind of has just been this really solid guy for several years. He's only going to be age 28 this year. Can he find another level, or is he just where he is here, like a mid to high threes ERA, good whip, decent strikeout? That's fine, but do you think there's another level for Berrios, perhaps?
Berrios is one of those guys where you watch him pitch and you go, there is another level here.
If you catch him on the right day, you're like, how can he not be?
Yeah, this is an ace. This is an SP1. But it just hasn't hapn't. And
then you catch him on one when the breaker isn't working. And you're like, oh, that's
you
3
see
homers.
Exactly why things aren't working like an ace. I want to believe. I have not drafted him very much, if at all, this season. I honestly can't tell you if I have. But I love the arm. I love the talent. I just don't know that we're ever going to see him put it all together. But I think he's super stable. Like, I think like he's one of those kind of set and forget it guys. And at the end of the season, you go, yeah, that's what I expected from Jose Berrios. So like, I don't have a problem with him as my SP2. Because like, he threw 192 innings last year, threw 200 in 2019, 192 in 2018. Like, he is about as reliable a workhorse that you can get. And I do believe that somewhere in there is another level.
Could be this year with Pete Walker getting Jose Berrios to another level.
And now they've added Donaldson to improve that infield defense.
No, Chapman.
Sorry,
Chapman. He's doing a Donaldson
imitation. He's doing a Donaldson.
He's going to win MVP this year.
You drop that walk rate again.
I got to be honest, man. Like, this is a guy I've really liked in past years. I have not been drafting him this year. I got him perfectly, I got him ranked high, 25, like within a range to get him. I think it's just been missing like when I'm taking something else, because I've never actively bypassed him when he's been the top guy on my board. If Berrios is there, I think I would take him, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was another level. And I would be, the beauty is you're happy to take what he gives you at the price, but you're also buying a potential upside that I think Berrios does have a little bit more upside than he's being given credit for.
Yeah.
Buy a Florida-based breakout. Trevor Rogers or Shane McClanahan, which one do you prefer?
Trevor Rogers, baby. Man, this is Trevor Rogers' season. The problem is everybody else is on board, and like,
well, let's do another min main with him. Let me give you some numbers on Trevor Rogers in these 6 drafts again that I'm looking at here.
He will go. He's going to go in the same spot as who was it that we Cease? Yeah, okay. Someone will take him top 45. Like,
I think so too.
I assume if he makes it back to you on the 3-4 turn, that you just snag it. Who would you take over whether Verlander or Trevor Rogers? If you're not going to double tap, let's say you take Trevor Rogers, right?
Yeah, I think Trev. I'm really keen on Trev too, and he does have his believers out there. He might not even get to me in the 3rd. Don't be surprised if that happens.
I will be honest. He's in play for me in the 3rd round, so like it might be me. Yeah,
should be. McClanahan, I do like. It's not an anti-McClanahan take. It's really more of a pro-Rogers take. I do think McClanahan will get his innings pushed up. It'll be around 160. He was great last year with 123. I think he's a beast. I just think Rogers is already kind of pushing toward that next level. I just get a better feeling about him. Also, I think his team is more inclined to let him go, whereas Tampa Bay will still manage because they also have October considerations more than like Miami. So it's not even like a workload protection from a health standpoint. It's just we know you're going to have to put on 20, 25, hopefully more innings in the playoffs, which would mean they were going far, and they're going to want to protect that. So that's my concern there. But I love McClanahan's talent. I think he's a total stud. I have him ranked pretty high too, but I really, really love Rogers.
I think McClanahan's one of those guys that you need to pair with another ace that's going to volume. So maybe he's like a Jose Berrios pairing. Like you just like maybe you missed out on those first aces and stuff, and you pair Jose Berrios and McClanahan.
That'd be cool. I can get behind that.
Yeah.
All right. Will Frankie Montas be dealt before the season?
I want to say yes,
but they're running out of time.
And so are the White Sox with Kimbrel. Like
exactly. And there's a big discussion about that in my Paul Sporer draft yesterday about like, are we overdrafting the hell out of Kimbrel? But
we are at the moment.
Yeah, we'll stay on Montas right now. But he doesn't need to be traded to be valuable, though. Unlike Kimbrel.
Yes and no.
I mean, I know the
wherever he goes is going to be a park downgrade, but it's going to be a team upgrade.
Exactly. That's why I think it's fine to just take him. Even
they
if he's
also
still
don't have the elite defense that they had before. Now that Chapman's gone. So
true, but they usually favor defense.
Yeah, and they definitely did with Pache. And I think Kevin Smith will be okay at the hot corner, but like it's not
Chapman.
Yeah,
it's not Chapman. I grant that.
So I love Montas. I'd be happy to draft him. This isn't shading him, but I want to see him on a different team.
I want him to get traded too.
New York,
but I'm not mad if he doesn't.
I mean, I'd rather him not be in New York, but get him to Minnesota. Like, think about him in Minnesota behind that defense, which is fantastic still now, especially with Correa there and Urshela at 3rd. So
that'd be great.
But yeah, they're running out of time. Like, I don't understand.
Maybe they're just not getting the right offer and they're going to wait.
I think they've just decided they can get whatever they're asking for, and that the offers will still be there in season.
Exactly. So, and they're right. They will be. And they can get something big.
Though I do think Manaea is the one who ends up in Minnesota.
That would be very interesting. Which Padre do you prefer, Blake Snell or Yu Darvish?
Blake Snell.
Just age?
Age. It's weird to say health, but I mean, not that I dislike Darvish at all. I think Darvish showed at the end of the season, like the sticky stuff that clearly when that was taken away bothered him initially. Like he figured out a way. He's a smart guy. He's a really, really good pitcher, and he just worked his way through it. So I think Darvish can be fine, but he's also older. So I lean Snell. I've gotten Snell a number of times. I've gotten Darvish once or twice, but I really like Snell this year. I think he could definitely take that step back into being an ace.
Yeah, and he closed brilliantly. Blake really looked like he hit that next level there and found something at the end of the season. They got this new pitching coach, Ruben Niebles, that a lot of people are excited about coming in, and it could help both of them, right? They're both on the same team. I like both too, but I do have Snell higher. He is the guy I've been opting for there. And Darvish ends up being somebody that I'm like, okay, if he gets taken, I'm not too worried about it. But I do still like him, and I might end up with him, but Snell would be my preference, and they're almost always both available. And so if I'm going to go one way with the Padre, I'm going to take Snell. Are Alec Manoah's risks being glossed over? Those risks being the division that he pitches in, the 2 pitches creating a platoon issue, and a little bit of command trouble that it wasn't a homer problem of like epic proportions. It was 1.0, but it was a little something. The platoon split being the biggest issue, 496 against righties, OPS 710 against lefties, the 2 pitches, those being much bigger issues for Manoah. But what do you think? Are those being glossed over, or is he appropriately priced?
I think he's a pretty appropriately priced. I like Manoah a lot. Does a really good job of limiting barrels. That I'm not worried about him in that park. Defense behind him is good. Yeah, the division isn't great, but you know what? It seems like the weakest divisions got stronger this year. Like the Central got a lot stronger.
True.
Or the AL Central got a lot stronger. The AL East got a lot stronger. NL East got a lot stronger. I'm having trouble talking apparently. I don't know there's easy divisions anymore.
True.
Like there's definitely bottom feeder teams that you want to take advantage of, but they have that in Baltimore. Like
yeah, they get one.
I don't know that
got a little bit better too with the field moving.
I'm not as worried about the AL East like I was last year.
Okay.
I like Manoah a lot. We took him as our SP2 in the tag team league, Shelly and I. So I've got no problem.
I love Manoah. I'm trying to temper myself, I think, but so I'm kind of maybe overhyping the risks just to make sure I don't go overboard with him. But I really, really do like him.
Yeah.
I know we're live recording. I have to pee. I'm the smallest bladder ever, so I'll be right back.
This is the beauty of live radio. I should write this down so I can take it down. The audio version. I know there's at least one person watching live, but so if you got questions, now's the time to ask because Paul is peeing, and we are at the 52-minute mark. So that way I can make sure to take this off. I'm super excited for the main event. I am planning on crushing Paul. Paul has no chance. Let's just be honest. He's going to be stuck on that 15 turn, watching all these runs happen. Really won't be able to catch up. He's going to take like 2 crappy Tigers in the first and second round. I feel bad for him. He's drafted next to Michael Govier, who will get in his head. Michael Govier seems like this really loving person that is just fun, but he gets in your head. He knows how to attack you mentally. He's going to make you question decisions with his laughter and his love. I don't know that Paul's going to be able to handle that. I don't know that Paul has the ability to block out a Michael Govier. This is like the worst possible draw in the main event for Paul. Because not only is he drafting with a bunch of people he knows and they're his friends and who know him, but he's drafting next to a guy who is going to be boisterous and loud and will throw him off his game. And that's the sneakiness of Michael Govier that we don't talk about a ton in the industry. And I'm just filling time right now. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Paul is taking an extra long time to pee. I don't understand why it's taken him this long. While I'm in Vegas, I'll also be doing the ultimate auction, the auction championship, which is a $1,500 auction league. I think Paul's going to sit in with me on that draft, which should be a ton of fun. It's a really, really tough room though. So I think Mark Cerebro is in that league. Jenny Butler, who's been on the podcast, is in that league. I can't remember exactly everybody else, but it's a very, very tough league. I think Dave Potts is in that league as well. Very, very tough league, and it's my first NFBC auction ever. So definitely a little bit nervous about that. Going to be working real hard to get my values done for that tonight because I leave for Vegas tomorrow. And if you are in Vegas, please stop by and say hi. It's I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'll be running around crazy. So I apologize for that if you're a witness of my craziness while I'm in Vegas, but definitely come up and say hi. Don't be shy. I think often people like see Paul or I out in public and they don't want to bother us, but as long as you're not bothering me during the main event, like somebody did one year where like in the middle of me picking, like he asked like for a picture, then it'll be a lot of fun. So, and here is Paul returning to the program.
I did not fall in.
I just vamped.
Well done. I did not fall in. I smacked my knee on the way
because I was wondering. I asked. I was like,
and
Paul is taking an extra long time to pee.
I smacked the hell out of my knee and then it started bleeding. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is like not the time right now. But I'm good. I'm good. I'm a gangly son of a bitch. All right. That's the end of the questions. Now we're getting into our groupings. We'll highlight some of our favorites here. Let's start with some mid-tier gems. These are guys that they have a question. A particular question. Maybe they haven't done it really at the highest level yet. A little injury, a little uncertainty with a pitch or something. But if it comes out, it could be awesome. Luis Castillo, Tyler Mahle, neither of whom have been traded from Cincy yet or look to be just yet. Nathan Eovaldi, Sean Manaea, who we talked about earlier, Luis Garcia and Framber Valdez in Houston, Jordan Montgomery, and John Means. Is there one that stands out above the rest for you, or are they all in a similar grouping?
I mean, there are a few that kind of stand out to me.
Who are the couple that really jump to you then?
Luis Garcia, Tyler Mahle, Nathan Eovaldi, Framber Valdez. Like actually, I really like everybody on this group except for Luis Castillo. Which
generally
is
the highest ADP of this group.
He just kills your whip, man, and
he really does. He really does. And I love him, but man, I have faded him this year.
And if he was to be moved out of a different park to a better infield defense, to a better park in general, like I would be definitely moving him back up. But he is the one out of this group that I can promise you I will not have on any teams this year unless he is traded like before my last main event. Yeah, no, I'm fading Luis Castillo. Love the rest, actually. Jordan Montgomery, I'm kind of ambivalent on. I see some of the skills that people rave about, but I also don't love the park. And so, but yeah, everybody else I love. I have no problem getting any of them.
Yeah, so I wish Tyler Mahle would get traded. He does have a massive park issue last year. His home road splits were crazy. And if you're worried about that happening again, he might get traded at some point in the year, but if he's not before opening day, then you might have to deal with those again. Eovaldi's all about health. I do love him. Manaea's about health too. He's had some major issues, but he looked great. Framber, I worry sometimes. I push back on like his strikeout rate, but that ground ball rate is amazing. So if the team defense just continues to support him, he is top notch on the literally top of the league, 70% ground ball rate. And, again, the strikeout rate is not amazing, but he did kind of run at a high level with it in 2020. And I predicted, everyone predicted properly that it was going to come down because he had a 10% swinging strike rate, 26% strikeout rate. But curveball guys can run lower swinging strike rates than their strikeout rates would normally portend. Mm-hmm. We went back down to 22%. Framber Valdez did, but don't be surprised if he can live in a 24 to 26% range for a full season in a given year. Don't plan for it, but it could happen for him because he has that curveball. And I've definitely seen a correlation where guys with heavy curveballs, their swinging strike rates aren't as big as their strikeout rates can be sometimes. And I should probably get a collection of some of the other examples I've seen over the years. But I remember looking and feeling like, well, this guy's swing strike rate doesn't make any sense. Curveball guys don't get as many whiffs, but they save them for when it's a put away pitch.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I also love the ground ball rate from Framber Valdez. And then John Means, home run issue is his biggest problem.
Yeah.
Does the park change do enough for you to really move the needle on that home run issue? At least because righties, he's a lefty too, so righties kind of get him, and that's the park. That's the left field is what got moved.
I think that that's one of the reasons I'm buying back in. And I also think there's a chance he gets traded out of Baltimore. So
true.
Clearly not going to happen right now, but I think he could get traded out of Baltimore. I don't think we give him enough credit for just kind of the crazy season he had last year in terms of like having to like leave and, and just I like Means a lot. And I think he's kind of underrated because he's in Baltimore, but like we draft pitchers on bad teams all the time. And the park change
win.
Yeah, the park change should be really beneficial for him. I think this is a season where he means business.
John means business, baby. I totally agree. Righties ripped 27 homers off of him. Still only had a 707 OPS. He's a little command tweak away from possibly being an absolute monster.
Yeah.
New faces, and like he has the control. Like he's a good example of the difference between control and command because he doesn't command it quite as well, but if he gets that, watch out. New faces in new places. Carlos Rodon in San Francisco, Chris Bassett in New York with the Mets, Sonny Gray in Minnesota, Eduardo Rodriguez in Detroit, and Yusei Kikuchi in Toronto. Based on their price, who's your favorite of this group?
Bassett, I think. And then the next one would be Sonny Gray.
You've been a Bassett hound all offseason. We had some discussions about him when my ranking first came out. I ended up moving him up a little bit. I still don't quite have him where you do. Going out to New York, another good park to pitch in, better team context because they're tearing it down. But you have him we have a massive split here between us. Yeah. Where do you have Bassett? Oh, you have him 28th, and I have him down at 55. So
you're crazy low.
Expound further on Bassett.
He's just the epitome of a safe number 2 starting pitcher. Like he's one of these guys where, if it hadn't been for him being hit in the face, he probably would have gotten close to 200 innings. And so you're not going to blame him for that. And he couldn't have moved to a better spot. If he was going to leave the comfy confines of Oakland, New York was the best possible landing spot because not only does he get that park, which is great, he gets an amazing offense behind him. He's going to win some games. He could legitimately be a 17, 18 game winner. There is no he's the best pitcher in baseball ceiling. Absolutely. He's not going to finish the year as an SP2, but I feel pretty confident in saying that I think he's going to be at worst an SP3 or 4. Okay. So there's no falling off the map for him. And I think I feel very comfortable with him. I don't have to take him at 28, the 28th overall starting pitcher, because a lot of people have him ranked where you have him. I can take him as my SP3 or 4, and feel very, very confident that's who I got, especially if you start off with a riskier ace.
Yeah, no, I think that's all fair with Bassett. And I want to be clear that my ranking is not an anti. And like you point out, it's actually closer with the consensus, but yours is just a very pro Bassett take, which I don't think is completely out of pocket. I'm a bit off the market because he's the 45th pitcher without SPs. Oh yeah, you have the ADP there. Let me take a look at that. 28th. He is SP number 39 based on the ADP that you had. So I'm a bit off the market. Maybe I got to go a little higher because I do like guys that really massage that whip. And he definitely is going to do that. I think Bassett will continue to do that. Even if the strikeouts come back down into the lower 20% range, I'm fine with that. I think he should be a good bet for 170 innings.
But he's one of these guys that made improvements in every single place you want to see him make improvements in 2021. And I think part of the issue is the projections bake in too much of what he was before. And so people are looking at the projections and going, well, he's going to regress. Why? Why is he going to regress? He made gains in his walk rate. He made gains in his swing and strike rate. He's going to stay in a great park. It's got a better offense behind it. He made gains everywhere you want him to make. Is he going to jump into the next tier? No. But Yeah, I think he's gonna finish like an SP 2-3, and that's where I'm drafting him.
I think that's fine, and I think the rankings back that up. Eduardo Rodriguez had a Aaron Nola type situation where his underlying numbers were so much better than the ERA he was saddled with, and I find myself, as somebody I was not a huge fan in Boston. I kind of thought he was what he was, high threes, ERA with a bad whip. But now going to Detroit, I'm trying not to just make it like, oh, it's my favorite team, so I'm geeked. But I think this context suits him well. The defense gets better behind him with Baez being his shortstop now. But then the park, I think, is going to help him get back to where the skills should have been last year. And he's always had consistently strong skills. I think he puts up his best ERA ever. And that's not a crazy bar to clear. He's at 3.81 is his career best. And that was in 2020 or in 2019 because he didn't pitch in 2020. I think he beats that. I think Eduardo should be like a mid threes guy. The whip is still probably going to be a little bit of an issue, but I think he can get it under 1.3. And he's been a guy who can be a workhorse too. So I'm kind of in on Eduardo now that he's joined my Tigers. And I didn't necessarily think I would be when the signing first happened. How do you feel about Eduardo?
I love the talent, but there's always this injury scare in the back of my head.
It's not a lot of arm injury stuff though, right?
It's weird stuff. And that's why, like, I think I should give him a pass more than I do. Like, he got COVID, like, and then he got myocarditis, like where he couldn't even walk.
Yeah, we were thinking about his career was legit threatened.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, his life was legit threatened.
Yeah. It was a big deal, Holyfield.
Yeah, but then what does he do? He comes out and throws 157 innings of just stud baseball.
Yeah, they give him no damn support. He got so unlucky.
I mean, yes, you look at the 4.74 ERA and you're like, oh man, that's ugly. But you're talking about a 3.32 FIP. I need to move him up.
The skills were there, man.
The skills were absolutely there. And he's moving to a better park for him.
That's what I like.
Defense is going to be good behind him. Because I love the addition of Baez for that defense. Yeah, I need to probably move him up a little bit. Because I've got him, I think, outside of my top 40, top 45.
Yeah, I got him 32. I really feel strongly about him.
Oh no, so I have him 43.
Okay.
Well, he's definitely going to move up. He's definitely going to move up because Shane Baz is going to move down.
Yes.
Shane
Baz is off my board, by the way.
Oh yeah, completely. We're going to talk about him in the group next, but yeah, pretty much that entire tier, except for maybe one guy, is off my board.
Yeah, injury scares here. Guys that have current concerns or are coming off of pretty big concerns.
Before we move on to that, Carlos Rodon will go in that same top 45-ish first 3 rounds in Vegas. Somebody will. Won't be me.
Might not be our draft, but somebody will in Maine. His main men will be top 45. Agreed. Yep. All right, injury scares. Noah Syndergaard, Pablo Lopez, Chris Sale, Shane Baz, Jack Flaherty, Mike Clevenger, Zach Gallen, Luis Severino. They run the gamut here. Any of them you're trying to pluck for that discount?
I'm intrigued by Chris Sale, just because it's only supposed to be 2 to 3 weeks. It's not like an arm issue, but I haven't done it yet. Actually, well, I was in a mock draft yesterday. And I took him because he fell.
You're trying to skirt around the rules of your drafting, just to get your
no. The NBC Sports Edge put together this like big mock draft thing, the live stream, and like he fell so far that he was like, he had like, and there's IL spots. I don't think I could do it like in an NFBC league where there's no IL spots.
Exactly.
But in leagues with IL, if he's really only going to miss like 2 to 3 weeks,
this is Sale you're talking about.
Yeah, you can just stash him on your IL. The rest of the guys, complete fade. I'm fading Syndergaard, Lopez, Baz, Flaherty. Flaherty in the tag team he fell to like the 17th round. Nobody was touching him.
I was so excited about him this year too.
I understand why. I love Jack Flaherty.
Oh yeah, no. Now I'm terrified.
But even before this has been a reoccurring
Like, he's just been injured.
I just thought he was healthy, though. I know, but I thought he was healthy. He finished the season on the mound. You know how I feel. That's encouragement, but it's not a guarantee, and I know that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, now
he's off my board. No. I mean, yeah, all these guys pretty much are off my board. I can't imagine Gallen. And again, gotten an update on Gallen?
I don't think so. Let me state, by the way, that when we say off the board, we mean specifically for NFBC with no IL. IL changes the equation a lot here, and it would depend on how many you have. But in NFBC, you just get 7 reserves. So we are being a little bit NFBC centric here. But that for me,
but even I mean, unless you have limited IL, I don't know how you draft Flaherty. Like, I just don't. And the other guys, it's not a matter of, you know, most of the guys aren't starting on the IL, right? They're just going to end up on the IL. Problem with Boz, especially, is they may not put him on the major league IL. They may put him on the minor league IL, which in some format.
I think he'd show up on the regular IL. He's on the 40.
Is he? Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. So like, he's already on the 40. And if my OOTP teaches me anything, that I don't think there's really any difference between putting him on that. Like, honestly, I learned a lot about roster management in that game. I think he'll be on the regular IL, and you can just IL him. Boz.
I need to turn off alerts for like Ken Rosenthal and John Heyman right now, because I'm getting all the arbitration updates. Right
oh God, and you're like, I don't care.
I'm like, oh, something happened in Toronto. No, Donaldson like avoided arbitration. Great.
Yeah. What about Luis Severino? I have heard like nothing about him. I'm actually going to look up to see what the recent. But I haven't been taking him at all. I have him in. He got bopped a little bit.
I have him in like a draft and hold, but I love Luis Severino. I'm a Luis Severino guy, and he goes later than a lot of these guys, but I just can't trust it. Like, I just, you know, I want to, but somebody's gonna take him before I'm comfortable doing it.
Yeah, I think that's totally accurate, and I just haven't found the motivation to take Severino. I know it could be such a huge upside. He's so good, but I can't do it. I have already taken Gallen in some leagues, and then obviously he got some bad news. Oh, no, I haven't. Okay, good. Oh, wow. I thought I had. I was pretty big on Gallen. I had him ranked pretty high, and I guess I've been passing him over in those early drafts, and now in these
I was super low on him. You and a few other people in the industry talked me up on him, and now he's back up.
And now he's hurt
again.
I
have not gotten him anywhere. I probably will continue to not. I'm trying to see if there's an update.
I adore his talent, but his health is scary. So it looks like he's going to miss some time to start the season.
Who?
Gallen.
Yeah, so he threw a live BP yesterday. Said he felt good after. I still am gonna fade.
Yeah, I think that's fair. That doesn't.
And I love Pablo Lopez, but I've got to fade that too.
Like, no, with his shoulder issues, no. He was so good to me last year. I can't reward that though. There's no benefit in loyalty there if he's just going to be hurt. But I really hope he pitches and pitches well. I love watching Pablo Lopez. All right, young arms looking to make the leap. Michael Kopech, Logan Gilbert, Ian Anderson, Tariq Skubal, Patrick Sandoval, Ranger Suarez, Tanner Houck, Tristan McKenzie. Interesting group here. They're not going to be making the Cease Rodon leap into the top 45, but these are all guys that are going to have crazy low mins in the main, because they're going to have their big believer in a draft that's going to jump them 4 rounds above their current min, whatever that is, type of deal. Who is your favorite of the group, or 2 favorites that you are targeting consistently?
Probably Gilbert is probably been my most favorite target. I like all of these guys. I'm not opposed to taking all these guys, but there's always seems to be someone in a draft who likes them more. I was kind of out on Patrick Sandoval because of the back issue, and then I saw his start.
And it's not the stress fractures for young players. Not a huge issue.
So he was amazing.
So he has a min of 170. Does his main min go into the top 100?
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
I think
so too.
Yeah.
Kopech's is 157, easily gets in the top 100. Gilbert's is 148, easily gets in the top 100.
Yeah.
For a min, that just means one particular pick will get that.
I wouldn't be surprised if one of those guys, I don't know which one, his ADP is in the top 100.
I could see it being Kopech. Does he start this week? If there's like a start on Thursday or Friday, and he
I
strikes
could
out
see it being
5,
Sandoval too.
I was going to say him as well because he's gotten a lot of industry hype, and it could be
Mhm.
Hauk if they like gave some certainty about him going in the
It
rotation.
could be.
I could see that, but again, that would require some news, something to change there, where they're like, "Hey, he's won a job."
The two guys that I'm
Actually, that did happen on March 20th. Manager Alex Cora told reporters that Tanner Houck is likely to be part of Boston's starting rotation. I didn't see that confirmation. I hadn't seen that.
The two guys that don't get enough credit in this, and they're not guys I've even targeted a lot or gotten a lot. I don't even know if I had Tarek Skubal anywhere, but if there are two guys in this tier that are going to turn into like SP2s this year, I think it's Skubal and Tristan McKenzie, because they have such huge strikeout upside and have shown like they have that ace potential. But they seem to be the ones who tend to be forgotten in drafts a little bit.
Well, Skubal needs to figure out that home run issue against righties for sure.
But yeah, but like he has he's like a Robbie Ray change away from.
That's what I'm saying. No,
in a great home park.
I'm with you, and I think it is a fixable issue. Again, I know I'm a Tigers fan, so there is some bias there, undoubtedly, but I look at it, and that is a fixable issue. It's a glaring one. Don't get me wrong. 34 homers against righties, but it is fixable. He's still only allowed to give up 34 homers and only give up an 808 OPS against him, which is very, very high. Don't get me wrong, but it should be like over 1,000 when you give up 34 homers. Like he basically allowed the righties to be like, I don't know who hit 34 homers last year, like Bryce Harper or something. He basically allowed righties to
Nick Castellanos, yeah.
Yeah, he basically allowed them all to be Castellanos, Aaron Judge against him type of deal. I said a lefty there with Harper. And he still only give up an 808 though. And so that's why I am excited about Skubal. And with McKenzie, it is strictly health. Now that's a big factor. When I say strictly, I don't mean to diminish it. One issue can still be a huge issue, but it's not the talent. The talent is there for McKenzie.
But like, why is everybody like not overhyping, but hyping up Patrick Sandoval when health is the same issue and he's in the 6-man rotation? Whereas McKenzie is healthy and ended the year healthy, unlike Patrick Sandoval. He's on a team that is probably going to just let him stay in the rotation this time. I think McKenzie, but he's healthy now, right?
Yeah,
like, if he's healthy, can be used on right now. On Sandoval too, right?
I think he is healthy.
Well, we think
healthy. He pitched,
but so is McKenzie. So you can't say if he's healthy with McKenzie.
McKenzie has a much more spotty track record of health. That's why
it's not like Sandoval doesn't though. Sandoval's been injured like multiple times in the last few years.
Like this is not of McKenzie. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe
I think so. This is rose-colored glasses. This is Patrick Sandoval-colored glasses. So I guess green-colored glasses.
Patrick Sandoval. No, but I was thinking red because of his team. But let's see here. Okay, there's a lot of small samples of pitching.
So like,
okay.
I think McKenzie should go in the same spot. Yeah, I need to move him up too. Like this is not something that I even reflected in my rankings yet. It will be, because I have him super low. I can't even find him. I have him so low, 86. But this is just something I'm thinking about. It's like, well, we're willing to be like, oh, Sandoval's healthy, McKenzie's healthy now. He's dynamic. Will he hold up the whole season? I don't know. But we don't know anybody will. That's the thing. Exactly.
That's the real thing, is that the idea of safety is a myth.
Mm-hmm.
It is a stone cold. Now, guys, I'm not saying everybody has the equal risk, but they all carry substantial risk.
Pitching is an unnatural
motion. Healthy. Exactly. So no, I think that's a good point. I actually just moved them up a shit ton. These guys that we're talking about here, McKenzie and Houck specifically, especially. I missed the Houck news.
If McKenzie gets to 150 innings and he threw 141 between the majors and minors last year, if he gets 150 innings, he's going to have 200 strikeouts.
Oh yeah, he definitely could. His stuff is so disgusting.
You're talking about a guy going outside the top 200.
Bro, I moved him to 40.
Okay, that's a little too high. But
no, I did it. I did it. No, I take him over 40. I moved
Did I
Hosky
just
up there
talk
too.
you into taking someone in my main event over me?
Maybe because
hate talking to you
again, this is the thing with these dynamic talents here. You got to push them up too. You got to push them up if you want them. You got to go get your guys if you want them. If you believe in them, if you believe that that's the breakout, don't rest on the ADP. If you're going to be pissed
He's
as
going
hell,
as the 68th starting pitcher right now. He's definitely, I think,
McKenzie we're talking about.
The upside on McKenzie, especially if for those of you who are in shallower formats, 10 team, 12 teams, McKenzie's a guy you want to bet on because there's so much replacement value. In a 15-team league, becomes a little bit more difficult. But he should be a top 50 pitcher especially in a 10 or 12.
Yeah, I totally agree there. And I think Houck has some of that as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That was a good talk about the young arms. By the way, I love Kopech too.
I do too. I have Kopech highest of this entire group.
Yeah, I have him 33rd. I'm like super high.
Oh, you're higher than me.
Oh, well. Oh, only by 6 spots. We're pretty close.
Oh, I'm surprised I have him.
Old reliables here. Quite well, and I put question mark on purpose. The very first name will tell you why. Old reliables? Question mark. Clayton Kershaw, Adam Wainwright, Marcus Stroman, Alex Wood, Alex Cobb, Hyun-Jin Ryu, and Steven Matz. See, the joke is that none of them are all that reliable, and they're very scary. But they're stable veterans that can definitely do some big things.
Kershaw should have been in that fade group for me.
He could have been in the injury scares. That's fair. That's fair.
I'm just I know the talent is amazing. I'm just
fading
him. Just stone cold fading him. Like,
man, he's so.
I've got him below Verlander, and didn't you say I have Verlander like 60 something?
Yeah.
So I have them like right next to each other. I'm just not.
Are you going back to the well with Adam Wainwright? Because I feel like he's getting so much love, and I gotta be honest, I'd rather like try to get Zach Greinke to pull this year's Adam Wainwright than to try to get Adam Wainwright to do it again at age 40.
At the price, yes.
That's what I'm saying, because
I like Wainwright a lot because it's kind of guaranteed innings.
But he's now being charged for that. Like he's the 78th pitcher, for it. Pick 210. Like that's a pretty decent pick to pay for Waino.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really want to do it at 40 because what if he kind of goes back to 2018?
And we'll talk about this later, but I'd much rather do Zach Greinke.
The defense will support him, and I do love that.
Absolutely.
I love that defense. I'll take Steven Matz.
He could also turn right back into a pumpkin.
And so that's I'm just like Waino. I respect that people are jumping in because like he was good again in 20, and then you add in last year, it's 271 innings of like really good work. I want to look for the next guy that's going to do that, though. The next veteran that's going to be going way late or a waiver pickup, as Waino was for me in the main, and find it that way personally. That's why I haven't really been going for Waino. What about Stroman with the Cubs?
Took him in that mock draft yesterday.
Okay. Feel pretty good about him?
I feel okay about him. He's never a guy that ends up on many of my teams, though. But this was a situation where I had taken my starting pitchers were Corbin Burns and Chris Sale and Blake Snell. And I just wanted someone I felt like I was going to get a lot of innings from. And I love that they brought in Andrelton Simmons to play short there for him because I think that really helps, his ground ball tendencies. Lack of strikeouts, can be a bad whip guy. I think that'll improve a little bit, but he's just such an unsexy profile that I rarely end up with him.
Yes, same here, but he's good. He's a good stabilizer. The Alex is in San Francisco between Wood and Cobb. Which, if any, are you taking?
Wood. I do not trust Alec Cobb's health, and I do trust San Francisco, and so that's why he's not off my board. But Cobb has just had so many injuries over the years that I'm just and I think honestly, if Alex Wood is able to stay healthy like he did last year and keep the skills that he kept last year, just add a few more innings, he could be like a surprise breakout out of
like a top 30 SP.
Yeah, exactly.
I think so there is like that possibility. Yep. And Hyun-Jin Ryu, any are you out on him?
No, not at all.
Yeah, some people are ready to erase, like kind of be like move on from him as a stud because last year was rough. I'm not, I don't want to say giving him a pass where I'm just like not caring about any of it, but I think the discount has been appropriately given to him.
I think the hate's gone too far.
I was about to say even more so than should have been done. So I'm back in on Ryu.
Here's a narrative alert for those of you who don't like narratives like I don't like narratives. He couldn't see his family his entire year last year. And he said it affected him because of COVID. And the rules that Canada has around letting people from other countries inside. So it says it affected him a ton. And I believe that. Guy whose first language is not the language where he's living. Now you don't get to see your family. You're like a prisoner of war playing baseball. I do think he's going to bounce back. I think he's going to be a lot better. Is he going to be elite? I think it's hard for a guy like him in that park with that turf, even though the defense got better, to necessarily be elite. But I think he's way undervalued. I've got him way higher than where he's been going.
Yeah, I like a Ryu buyback. I think that people have been ready to kind of get rid of him. And so that at this first sign of trouble, they're like, get Ryu off my board. I'm not doing that. I'm not making that mistake. I think he bounces back. And, I do like that he pretty much stayed healthy. He's made 31. I mean, not pretty much. He was healthy, but made 31 turns. So that's his biggest concern in past years has been injury. So I like that. Let's talk about some whip studs. These guys are going to help your whip. They might have a little bit of an ERA problem because a lot of them have home run issues. They're control guys that need to tighten up the command, but they give you that good whip. And I think these guys are generally undervalued in fantasy because they might have a high 3s, low 4s ERA, and then their awesome sub 1-2 whip is underrated. That's Jose Urquidy, Joe Ryan, Bailey Ober, and Anthony Desclafani. Urquidy has a health issue as well, no doubt about it, and Desclafani's had some issues in the past, but who do you like best here out of this quartet of whip studs?
It's Desclafani, and it's not even close.
It's Joe Ryan for me.
I like Joe Ryan's the only other one out of these four that I would draft. I won't draft Urquidy. I won't draft Ober. Ober, maybe. Urquidy I'm like completely out on. Like I don't understand why people want to be like Urquidy's the next thing. He doesn't strike guys out. He has a homer problem. He's got injury issues.
He has swing and miss stuff. He has elite control, and he's 27.
Yeah, and at some point he's gonna have to prove it for. I'm gonna pay for it. Like I mean,
he has swing and miss stuff though. Like 12% swinging strike rate. Like it's there. He's got a deep arsenal. I don't know, man. I'm big on Urquidy still. I know the home run issue's there. The command needs to be refined, right? He's a control guy right now. He needs that next piece of the command. The health is there, but I think the health is appropriately priced for Urquidy. He goes around pick 250, 240, 244 is his ADP over these last 6 drafts of draft champions. I think that's a fair price. Like it's
not a bad price. I just don't see the breakout coming.
Okay.
Whereas with like Desclafani, we saw the breakout and people are still fading it. Like
especially if you sat him against the Dodgers.
Yeah, or in his 3 worst starts were 2 against the Dodgers and 1 in Colorado. It is conceivable that you avoided all of those.
Yep.
And now there's less games against the division, right? This year, isn't that the schedule?
Oh, is it? It's
or is that start next year?
I do not know offhand.
Either this year or next year, there's going to be less division games. So I think
that'd be great for him.
But either way, like. He stayed in San Francisco. Like the big concerns for me was like, oh, where's he gonna go? He stayed in San Francisco, with that good defense, good park, good pitching organization. I love Desclafani. I think he's vastly underrated.
Okay, I definitely think there's some underrating of him, but I like that whole group there. I would be open to any of them. Young gambles here. These are guys that a little bit different than the young arms looking to make a leap. They've got bigger questions, but they could also be studs. Oscar Noah, Garrett Whitlock. I don't know what his status is. I'll look him up in a minute.
They're trying to stretch him out.
Okay. Drew Rasmussen, Josiah Gray, Tyler McGill, Jesus Luzardo, and Carlos Hernandez in Kansas City. Who do you like here on the young gambles? Any of them that have been like a pet player of yours that you're taking consistently or anything like that?
I've been getting a lot of Patino, Rasmussen, and Josiah Gray. I love Oscar Noah, but the injury scares me. He finished the year with a finished the playoffs with a shoulder issue. That just scares me enough. And he's a 2-pitch guy. Tyler Megill looked really, really good in that spring start.
I've been on that Tyler Megill train.
I haven't, but he's another one of these guys that his min will be 100. Someone will take him in the top.
You think it's going to be that high? No, he goes.
Somebody will.
No, his min is
won't be me
right now. No, 150. Even that's crazy.
125. I'll say 125. Somebody will. It won't be me.
It won't be me either, and I love him. I got Tyler Megill on 4 teams.
I got him nowhere. But really I know Scott Genstad loves him, and he's in our main, so there's no way that he makes it to me.
That's Tyler Molly, Nathan Eovaldi, Sean Manaea area. I can actually believe it.
Yeah, thank you.
He would kind of like he has not proven nearly as much as any of those guys, pardon me, but it would be a lot, right? You don't have to take him there, but if you're worried that somebody else in the room is ready to take him at any point, again, I think 150 is probably, that'd be my pick.
He went round 16, the first pick of round 16 in the tag team.
Okay. This is Tyler Megill and with the Mets, by the way.
Somebody's going to jump him. I just know it.
No, he is going to get jumped, but you're putting out some big.
Also, I'm a big Carlos Hernandez guy. I've got Carlos Hernandez on a lot of teams, but Patino and Rasmussen are quickly becoming 2 of the guys that I have on a lot of teams.
Okay.
Especially now with Boz not going to be starting the year in the rotation, they're guaranteed to start in the rotation. I think they'll be even more careful with Boz than some people think they will be.
Oh, he's going to come back as a reliever.
He's going to come back. Yeah, he's going to come back as a reliever, but I also think they're going to just be very, very, very careful with him. So I think Rasmussen and Patino have a fair amount of rope in Tampa Bay. So love them, and I'm so intrigued by Josiah Gray. I know the homers were an issue. So
let's talk about this home run issue. You're bringing it up with some other guys here.
Mm-hmm.
My man, he's got that Tariq Skubal thing, right? Where it's like if you fix it, watch out. But
exactly,
it is a severe issue.
It is a severe issue. It absolutely is. Yeah. Oh man, that is really bad.
It's 2.4 in his 71 innings as a major leaguer. It was pretty rough. Even Skubal was like, "Damn, dog, that's kind of bad."
It is pretty rough, but it comes with like a 14% swing and strike rate.
Yep. When they aren't hitting it out, they aren't touching the ball. It's either or. It's like it's Meatball City or what was that? How did you throw that?
The bigger issue is it's the combination of the walk rate with those strikeouts.
Yes.
So
because it expounds the issue more than it does with an Ober, Ryan, Urquidy, and Descalfani. They don't exacerbate their homers by walking guys.
So he either needs to be okay with putting guys on base, or he needs to just Robbie Ray and go, I'm not going to put anybody on base. You hit a solo, but I'm going to just strike out a ton of guys. I don't know which one they're going to go with, but it's such a cheap price that I'm willing to take the gamble on it.
It is a good price for sure. I totally agree with that. Josiah Gray, by the way, with the Washington Nats, very exciting. Carlos Hernandez in KC. We're going to finish up with picking 3 guys that are left. Because we can't go all the way down the pool. It would be like a 5-hour show. And you were going to put Carlos.
I'm surprised we've gotten through this many in an hour and a half. This has been speed round.
We are kicking it in the high gear. But I just want to cape for Carlos Hernandez as well because we both really like him. He showed some really nasty stuff. 86 innings last year. Go through, watch some of those starts. If you're not sold on him, you will quickly become sold. It's not all there in the 85 innings where you're like, oh, this, that, and the other. There's different things that are there that when you're watching him, 25 years old, there's a lot about Carlos Hernandez to like. All right.
Yep.
Pick 3. One of yours is somebody you always pick, but you have a different reason for picking him. It's not just a meme. And then you got two veteran volume guys. Give us your 3 guys here.
Yeah, so Kyle Gibson, obviously there's a meme around it. However, he has an amazing start to the season. So this is one of those guys you draft kind of late-ish, and then you drop as soon as you see his first tough matchup. Or you just hold on to him and you know, and kind of
He could be a team streamer. Yeah,
he could be a team streamer. But he starts in Oakland. Like, that's like, Oakland may be one of the worst offenses we've ever seen. And that's a great part for him. It's going to be that bad. I did draft Tony Kemp in the tag team, though, with one of my last picks.
Those plate skills, they got me messed up, man. I don't know.
It was a 29th round. I was like, whatever.
Yeah. He's so cheap. That is all right.
So
doesn't he have the Marlins? Doesn't Gibson get the Marlins after that?
Something like that. Like, it's a pretty light early schedule for him. I don't necessarily love him all season. I definitely think you want to pick his spots pitching in Philadelphia, but love his first time through. And so he's, when you're playing that short week, those first 3 games of the season, I want to attack guys like Gibson, guys like Madison Bumgarner, who are going to be waiver wire fodder in a lot of leagues, but have a really good first start. And then I'll drop and move them on to a streamer or a closing target or someone like that.
Plus, are you also thinking that, like, we're hearing a lot about how guys are going to start with like 4 or 5 innings?
Yeah.
Do you think some of these vets, we're going to get into Greinke, that's the next guy on your list, the Greinkes, the Gibsons, the Bumgarners, the Mileys, are they going to be the guys who might be able to go 5-6, stretch it out a little bit, and actually get into that win range? Is that why you're favoring some of these crusty old dudes?
That too.
I'm also in the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm also looking at guys like Brent Suter.
Mm-hmm.
These guys that were like wins hogs in middle relief last year for early. These guys that are long relievers, the Tomlins of the world.
I like Johnny Lasagna for that reason too, by the way.
Yeah.
He's a big fireman.
Mm-hmm. So I'm looking at these guys, especially in good early matchups, to see, hey, maybe I could sneak a couple extra wins early and then, drop them for whoever the streamer of the week is.
Yeah. So Greinke in KC, going back, I was kind of leaving him for dead a little bit because I was thinking he might actually retire. And so that's why I was just kind of ignoring my.
I was too, but now I think I put him as like a top 50 starter.
I was gonna say I completely 180. I didn't quite go that high, but I'm like, now I'm in. He's going back to where it all started. He still put up a 117 whip last year. Even the 4.16 ERA didn't kill you for 171 innings.
I think the strikeouts will come back.
That was the question then. Will the strikeouts get back into the 20s because it was at 17% last year? And if so, what can Greinke do this year?
I mean, Greinke is one of the smartest pitchers we've seen, and this big problem last year was giving up home runs, and he stopped striking out guys. I think the strikeouts will come back up a little bit, maybe not to previous levels, but enough like where he gets, you get back in 20-21%. I think the park will help with the home runs. That division will help a little bit too, but the park more so than others. I just think he is completely unspectacular but solid. But I kind of like rooting for it. And another narrative time, right? He's going back to Kansas City where he's comfortable, and that is a huge thing for him. It's not a huge thing for other people, but for him, he's got social anxiety. He really struggles being outside of his comfort zone. He's going back to a place that I think they said his actual home is like 30 minutes away from the park.
Okay.
Like this is home for him. And I think he's going to be comfortable, and I think that's a big thing for a guy like him.
Yeah, I think that's a great call out with Zach Greinke. And like I said, I moved him way back up, much more in consideration for me now. Wade Miley, the Cubs yoinked him for free. Just got to pay the toll, and it was $10 million from the Reds. That was the first sign that the Reds were just giving up. Because Miley is not bad as a $10 million arm in real life. What do you think of him in fantasy?
Not going to get many strikeouts from him, but he's moving to a better park. The defense behind him is going to be better, especially with Simmons. I think he is a solidly unspectacular guy again. And he's one of those guys you can kind of attack early in good matchups and stuff like that. So he's not a league winner, but like if Wade Miley or Greinke were this year's Adam Wainwright, would we be surprised? Because I wouldn't.
Exactly.
I mean, Wade Miley pretty much was last year.
Yeah.
Like, less strikeouts, but like he threw 163 innings with a 3.37 ERA. Like
the whip was the big difference.
The whip was the big issue,
but still
better defense behind him, better park. Maybe that helps out.
Yeah, and I think Greinke could definitely be the Waino, and I wouldn't just not buy Waino because I'll just buy Greinke instead. So I went a little bit more on the upside end than the solid volume, and so it makes a good yin-yang here with our picks. Reed Detmers is my first. He's starting to get the hype train because he had a huge spring outing, which bums me out a little bit, but I'm also excited by it because I really, really do like him. And it's going to raise the price, but that's okay. I encourage people to watch some of the 20 innings last year because you're not going to see it in the stats from those 20 innings, but you're going to see it watching him and be like, this guy has it. There's those glimpses of just studliness, and it could just be something that comes together quickly. It is a bet for sure that might not pan out. Reed Detmers could be somebody you end up cutting very soon, but you take him with one of your later picks on the chance that he's one of the big breakouts this year, even in a 6-man rotation. I'm willing to do that. I think the upside is rich with Detmers.
That Angels rotation is sneaky good.
Yes,
if it's healthy, it needs to stay healthy.
And that's the biggest issue for sure. But they've got
they have Ohtani, Syndergaard, and Sandoval. But Lorenzen is really interesting.
And I didn't pick him here because I talk about him a lot, but he would have been one of my picks.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to get some new names going.
Yeah, and then that's what I did too. I mean, I could have talked about Patrick Corbin and talked about all those guys and stuff like that. But I think that rotation is kind of sneaky good, which is surprising considering they didn't really add to it after Syndergaard. So I guess they added Lorenzen, but my only question is who's playing shortstop there?
David
Is
Fletcher,
it David
probably.
Fletcher?
Yeah, probably. I mean, the defense is good at least, but the hitting is not. I actually am. The radio's probably going to call me here. Sirius is going to call me. So I got two more guys. Nestor Cortez has a great shot at that 5th starter's role, and he pitched really well last year. He's getting no love. He's kind of like a Ranger Suarez type, where he came out of the bullpen, pitched really well, but is much lower, much a cheaper Ranger Suarez type because nobody's giving him any love. I think Nasty Nestor could be good. And I'm buying back in on Tony Gonsolin. The discount has been appropriately put on him after the disastrous year last year. But like I said earlier, they don't have a ton of guys that they can go to this year. Gonsolin's going to have an opportunity to get back into that rotation and be a factor. What?
Is he? They just signed Tyler Anderson too.
I don't believe that like Tyler Anderson or Andrew Heaney.
I think he's a 6th starter, which is fine. Teams are going to use 6 starters.
Yeah,
quite a bit. Teams are going to use 8 starters. Guys, he's not better than Heaney, but
yes, he is. Oh my god.
But yeah, I mean, teams are going to use 6 starters this year, probably 7 or 8 starters. And the Giants have like 15 starters right now. It's ridiculous.
Damn. I mean, like the teams are getting ready because they got to gear up because they know that there's going to be shortened outings, especially at the front end. So I'll take Gonsolin. Like I said, the command escaped him last year. He was dealing with injury. If he's healthy, I think he's going to be good. And I do think he can actually get a good number of innings, even as a 6th starter there. So he's my third with Nestor and Reed Detmers. And that's perfect timing because the radio's calling right now. So Justin,
see you in Vegas.
Great work on the SPs. See you in Vegas, man. Take care.
Take it easy.